We're doing X6.
X6, baby. This
the
is
number one requested game on my channel. So I don't know if you noticed this, but because this is the remaster, do you notice how X looks a little, like, washed out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the HDified version of him.
I kind of like it, actually. Do you?
I don't know. I always feel it because you can switch it back to classic. And I mean, I'm sure eventually I'll get used to the way it looks like this because it's supposed to help the 1080p-ness of it. The penis.
Stupid.
But yeah, whatever.
Grow up.
Get the frick out of here.
The 1080 penis.
Look at this Asian eyeballs.
What? Is that Zero? But I thought he died in X5.
Dead. How?
Alright, so I'm gonna get into it. This is an intense story. Let me give it a backstory. When you sleep, you produce something called DMT, or dimethyltryptamine. When you die, you produce it in very, very large quantities, and that's why people are always like, "Oh, I met hashtag the god of my choice," or like they're like, hashtag. I don't know why I have the hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag it.
Oh, wait, go back. There's one more piece.
Okay,
you freaking Jewish. It's behind him.
Jewish.
You freaking Jewish. So anyways, like, people always come up with these crazy ass stories about like where they went. Some people be like, I met God. Some people be like, I met Allah or whatever. Or some people are just like, I went to the astral plane. I saw my body. Like crazy stuff like that, you know? So it produces in ample amounts when you die, and then a little bit when you dream. And I smoked a lot of it. Like a lot of it, to the point where I had something called a breakthrough. And I've been kind of like on this spiritual journey. Anyways, I smoked it, and here's what happened. Here was my experience. I'm gonna get into it because it's a lot. Did I tell you this yet? Any of it?
No.
Okay. So first I started taking hits. I was on my third hit. And I was with my buddy Marcus. Not your brother, obviously. But a different Marcus. Oh my god, you let him die! Okay. So I started hitting it, and I was on my third hit. I held it in, and then all of a sudden, Marcus was like, dude, let it out. And I was like, no. I like shook my head no as I was like holding it in.
What?
Because I didn't want to. I wanted to break through, like, more than anything. That was the whole reason for doing it.
Yeah.
And so I held it in, and all of a sudden the flower of life started pulsating out of the walls of my van. It was just pulsating in like this crazy green. And
the flowers of life?
The flower of life. So the tattoo I have on my back.
Oh.
Basically, if you don't know what the flower of life, look it up. It's pretty weird because the flower of life is a really ancient symbol, and it was found in a lot of different ancient civilizations, like civilizations that shouldn't have had connection, you know, like South America, up in like Africa in some civilizations. And what it represents is everything. Like there's a symbol in it for everything, and it represents all consciousness, all organic shapes, all everything about this reality. And so it started popping up, but it didn't have its rim around it. Like if you guys look it up, it has a rim around it. It was all interconnected. If you take away the rim, you can continue the flower of life forever. So it's pulsating on my walls in this green. And then this like crazy rainbow light shoots through my van. And there was no source for it, obviously. I was just like tripping, but like rainbow light comes through. The van starts waving, and as it starts waving, everything starts merging together. The chairs come together, the ceiling starts coming together, and the van folds in on me. It's freaking crazy, dude. And almost seamlessly, like when the van folded in on me, I was floating in this black abyss, and there was a single triangle. And I looked down, I looked around, I couldn't see a body, and I realized it was weird because it was almost like the place that I was in was communicating to me without saying words. Does that make sense? Okay. Like I just would ask questions, and then some of them I would understand, some of them I wouldn't. And so I was like, where am I? And I came to this conclusion that I'm just consciousness right now. Like there's no body here. I'm in the metaphysical, and like there's nothing connected to me. I'm just pure energy. So this single triangle starts splitting into all these different shapes. It was weird. It was like all these different shapes that represented so many things. Like the Fibonacci sequence was there, the Vesica Pisces, like all the sacred geometry that like is supposed to almost craft our world. It's so weird, and it started splitting into all these different like shapes all over it, but it was all remaining connected. Everything was separate but one. It was the weirdest thing. And I was being dragged through it. It was almost like this feeling of like falling. Have you ever cliff jumped? It was like I was falling, but I was going like I was coming through it, like I was being pulled through this wormhole. And as I was going through, there was these reds being shot through, and purples and greens, and like there was white coming from the top, and it was all just like going through this like geometry and stuff. And as I was going through, it kept getting bigger and bigger, and I was like, where does it end? You know, like this is crazy. Like there's so much, and I don't know how to explain it other than saying there's just so much. And like I literally don't know how to explain it. There's so many things that happened here that like I'm about to verbalize that don't make sense. Like they're just not gonna make sense talking in like, I don't want to sound too hippie, but like in the third dimension.
Yeah.
I could have been in my head for all I know, but it was wild. So I tried to look around. At this moment, I realized I wasn't looking through eyes. Like I could see in 3D. I was seeing everything in every single plane of field that you could possibly be. You know, it was like I was like a 3D camera or something. And it went on forever. Like it was like there was no border, there was no horizon, there was no stopping point. You know, in a picture there's 4 walls. Even when you look at a picture of the observable universe, you know, you see so much and you're like, wow, that's a lot. But that's only a fraction of what I was looking at. And I can't even say it's a fraction because what I was looking at was infinity. Not only did it look like infinity, but it felt like I was just sitting in infinity. Like I was sitting in like the metaphysical framework of everything ever. It was the craziest experience I've ever had. And I was thinking like, oh my God, like this is so much. Like this is everything. Like this is infinity. Like not only does it look like it, but I feel it. Like I'm sitting in infinity, the metaphysical framework of fucking everything. And it was so wild to me. But I was scared and I was confused and I was trying to figure out, I was trying to like make sense of it all, but there was no way I could. Like you can't make sense of something like that, you know? It was so wild and bizarre to me, and it felt so real, almost like more real than where I am right now. Yeah. And you know, part of me is like, you know, it just happened in your head, like, you know, you did a drug. But at the same time, like people call this drug the spirit molecule or the gateway to other dimensions. Like people have always called DMT that, and it's the active ingredient in ayahuasca. It's what you produce when you die. I mean, like when you do heavy amounts of meditation, your brain releases crazy amounts of DMT. If you're really good at meditation, you can actually produce as much DMT as I smoked. People spend their lifetime trying to get to a point where they can produce this much DMT and basically astral project or whatever, you know. They spend forever trying to study this kind of stuff. You can go for the next one because I'm still going.
Okay, I'll
go
for this guy.
Cool. There's so many thoughts that I had, and it was like I was there forever, but also never. Like the trip only lasts for 6 minutes for me. Like DMT only lasts 5 to 15 minutes because your body brings you back to baseline because it produces it. It's really good at bringing you back to baseline. So there's a few things that I felt, and this is, I don't know in what order to verbalize this in because I'm not sure what order it happened. Because time is really weird. Like when I talk about this, like it's almost like time didn't apply in the same way that it applies here. One thing I realized was like I'm part of Frankie. Like it's like I was the energy that makes Frankie, but like everything biological about me felt like it wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like my the better way to put this is like my perception of self didn't exist here. It was like I knew I was energy of Frankie, but there was so much about me that just was disconnected. And I kind of forgot who I was when I was there. It was almost like I was me, but I wasn't me. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like if the soul and the body were a symbiotic relationship, the only thing that was there was the soul. Or like, I don't know, like the pure energy of me. Yeah, that was pretty wild. There was something else I was going to say about this. Well, anyways, I was confused and I was scared. And it was fascinating, and like, I wanted to know more and I wanted to figure more out. But I don't think I was necessarily ready, because what happened next was I wanted to continue exploring this place even though I was afraid and I was panicking. And it's weird because I felt every emotion. It wasn't like I was just scared or like anything like that. Like I felt everything. I was happy. I was like not sad. I was confused. I was scared. But I was also like, more than anything, I was curious, you know? Like that was the biggest feeling I had when I was there. And so I saw this white light and I was like, go towards the light. Like that makes sense, right? Go towards the light. So I started kind of like going towards this light. Oh no, first, my bad. I tried to move. I didn't have legs, so I couldn't move. I was just consciousness. So I was like, I can't walk. I'm just floating, you know, like how does consciousness move? And I thought to myself, everything about this makes me sound like a hippie. I guess I kind of am, but a little bit. But like basically, like I thought, how does consciousness move? And it wasn't like, it's weird because it wasn't like marijuana where like you're not perceiving things right. I was perceiving things like normally. A lot of things were making sense. The only thing that didn't make sense was where I was, because there was no science. There was no way to like, you know what I mean? But like other than that, like I was thinking normally. You know, the only difference was that I was in a fucking different reality or deep inside my subconscious. So I was like, maybe I like need to manifest the idea of movement, you know? Yeah. And to manifest like how to move. And I was like, I said to myself, I'm going to move to this light. And as I said that, I started moving towards the light. It was pretty cool. But as I like got to the light, what happened was it started filling up everything that I could see, and I saw my body laying down, dude. It was the weirdest thing, and I don't know if I legitimately saw my body or if I was just hallucinating my body. Like I said, like I take it with a grain of salt because there's no way to like objectively prove that I was in another dimension. You know what I mean?
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. And there's no way to objectively prove that I saw my body, but everything I'm telling you is what I experienced, and it felt so real. And so, anyways, as I got closer to my body, I opened my eyes, and I looked around my van, and the Flower of Life was still pulsating. The walls were still moving. They were still, like, waving, you know? And I didn't get my idea of self back until I looked over at my friend Andy, who was spotting me to make sure I was okay. She was sober. I looked at her, and when I looked at her, I said, it was like probably like 8 seconds before I actually made eye contact with her, and I said, oh shit, I'm back. And it was the weirdest thing to realize that like I had come back from that. I thought it was so weird because even though I had come back, and even though I knew I was looking around my van, I still didn't realize that I had returned until me and Andy made eye contact. And I tried to look away from her, and I kept falling into that like kind of like idea of not remembering self again, like every time I looked away from her. So I looked back at her, and I said, this is what I said to her, because every time I looked away from her, I was forgetting my identity. And it wasn't like I was forgetting my identity, I was just forgetting the physical aspect of my identity. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I looked at her and I said, I'm gonna look at you for 2 minutes. I'll be back shortly. And you know, saying like verbally that like I'm gonna stare at you. I'm not quite all here yet, but I will return to soberness shortly. You know what I mean? And so I did that, and then I was able to explain to her that she was the one grounding me. But the things that I was gonna say that I like realized was I wasn't okay with the idea of losing self. Like that was one of the big things about this trip. Was one of the reasons why I think it ended was because I wasn't okay with being disconnected from what I physically identify as with Frankie. You know what I mean? And the other thing was that I was expecting so much. Like, I was aggressively expecting certain things on this trip. And the thing that I realized is that this experience is way stronger than me. And by going in there with such an intense, stubborn, like, expectation of like what to find and getting answers, I think that's what didn't allow me to fully immerse myself in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I went over to someone's house and they wanted to show me something, and instead of allowing them to show me, I told them what I wanted to see.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I pulled myself out of it earlier than I should have. So I've kind of been applying those aspects to my life a lot, and trying to figure out how to kind of like, you know, embrace self, but also at the same time be okay with the idea of it's not going to be forever. And if there is a metaphysical, one day I will have to separate with it. And if I ever want to return to that, I have to be okay with that idea. And then also just being more accepting of like what's happening, you know, applying it, like, I don't know, just allowing things to happen in life and like being okay with them. You know how things go wrong and then you're like, fuck, you know, like, this sucks. But like, I just want to like allow those things to happen and be like, this is just part of the process. And these are all concepts that I know of and I try to apply, but I can apply them better. And I definitely would like to revisit the experience one day when I think I'm ready, but I think I got some work to do.
Ninja Turtle.
Is that your input?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. From someone who doesn't do any drugs or anything, it's tough for me to understand, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I understand that. This is unlike any drug. Like, I mean, it is a drug. Don't get me wrong. It's totally a drug. But there is nothing like this. It's a completely different animal. And the experience is so spiritual. It's not like marijuana where you just get really lazy and you melt into the couch. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, I don't do any other drugs. Like, the only drugs I've ever done is marijuana. More than I'd like to, because it's always available and people are always smoking it around me, and I just do it occasionally because it's around, especially at my dad's house because everyone at my dad smokes. And then mushrooms and alcohol and now DMT, which is something I was not ready for. It's like, I don't know, but anyways, like, like when we talk about it, like if we were to continue the conversation, don't think of it as like the drug aspect of it. Think of it more of like the experience I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the part that's fascinating to me, and there's so many parts of it that are so fascinating that I want to continue talking about. Like how much sacred geometry played a role in it, like the Vesca Pisces making an appearance in my my experience, the Fibonacci sequence, like the flower of life pulsating, like everything representing infinity, being in like what felt like the metaphysical framework of reality. It was just so like, I don't know the word for it, dude. And the thing is that like I can try and explain it to you as best I can, but even being here now after I've experienced it, it's hard for me to recall a lot of the details of it. I remember it, I remember the feelings, and I remember what I thought when I was there. Mm-hmm. But like being back here, and I'm referring to it as if I actually did go somewhere else, my like third dimensional mind can't comprehend where I was anymore, because I just got to glimpse it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like I was invited there, and they gave me a little sneak peek trailer of like
the new Avengers?
Yeah, and then it's been like 3 months since I've seen the trailer, so I can't recall every detail, but I don't know.
Oh, so good. This boss fight, let me just say,
I hate you so much. I just went on this super deep story, and you're like, look at this turtle. Look at all these chickens.
Is that from Majora's of Mask?
No, it's from this Vine where this little girl is like, she's looking at all these ducks or like geese or something like that. And
oh yeah, wait a minute, I know what you're talking about.
And she like points at it and she goes, look at all these chickens. One of the things that I was talking about with my friend is like, what is it like? And I was like, dude, I can't tell you what it's like because I've heard it's different for everybody. But for me it was like, imagine I told you like what I was expecting versus what I got. This is not accurate at all, but it's a funny little like comparison. Imagine I said we're gonna teleport to Alaska, and when we get there, you're gonna drink this iced tea. Okay. So you're like, okay, cool. We're gonna teleport there. It's gonna be snowy. I'm gonna need a jacket. It's Alaska, you know. Like this is what I'm gonna see, and I gave you kind of a picture of like what you're gonna see, so you knew what you'd see when you get there. And then you had this iced tea with lemon in it. I said iced tea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you knew that like it's gonna taste like iced tea and lemon, and then we teleport there and everything is on fire, and you drink the iced tea and it's actually Coca-Cola. It just wasn't at all what I was expecting. That was a bad example.
Fetch! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad example.
I hate you. Alright, anyways, well, that's my dimethanol tryptamine story. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'll show you a real pro here. Show you a real pro.
That you can keep charging and dash and keep charging.
All right.
Wow.
It's time.
It's absolutely time.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Oh yes, green. Run!
Oh god. Oh god.
Hello, queen.
Why you always lying? Oh my god.
Yes!
Oh, sliver of health, dude.
Oh my god.
That was funny.
We get way too excited when we play this game. Dude, it's just such a good fair fight. I love
it. So then, as he's telling me this random like freaking homeless guy or something walks up to me and goes, "Oh, you didn't skateboard? I used to skateboard, but now I'll fall down." And I was like,
I used to skateboard. Where are these tentacles coming from?
Hentai!
Where are they coming from, girl?
Okay, I have an idea.
Lonely Japanese people come up with these movies. Tentacle!
There's not even a chance when he's on him.
I know, man, because you can't freaking identify. You just gotta memorize where every robot is. Duh.
There's not even a chance.
Why can't you just memorize where every single robot is at all times?
This is so... Tony picks up the thing after he falls down, and he wraps his hammock around his head to look like a peasant, you know, like the Middle Ages. Okay. And he goes, "Look at, I'm grandma before she came to the U.S."
Oh my god!
And I laughed so hard, dude. And it's over. It's over because do you know why it's over? Because the fly.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I did. What merits this fly and why can't it be hurt?
Honestly, this game would be a lot better if they took the flies out. Like, I truly believe this game had potential, but they put flies in it. Nobody likes flies. They're not even fun.
What do flies, first of all, what do flies exist for? What is their purpose in life?
I don't know, dude.
I don't know what they contribute to society. They need to start paying taxes, man. What the frick are these flies doing here?
You know what I think? I think that the universe is just trying to experience itself in the same way that we are. And I think that, like, flies are, like, the depression and anxiety of the universe. Like, they don't have a purpose. They're not helpful. They're just there because I don't know, man. Why is depression and anxiety there?
I mean, it's just like...
Do you feel it? Existential?
It's just like DMT mixed with freaking Starbucks coffee, and then you can't even see amongst the blue.
Oh, it's over. Yes! I actually got saved by getting hurt. Did you see that?
Thank God, yes, I saw it. Thank you,
Oh.
Jesus. It's not even over yet. Oh, God! Why are there so many tentacles? Why do you care?
This is 100% a picture of the
What the
This is a picture of the frustration.
Watch out!
I can't do it anymore.
Go left, up top, up top,
No.
up top. Just climb.
No.
Oh no.
This is not the best
no.
route.
Oh no. Oh no.
I am so mad.
Oh no. What the heck? That one has a ball. Alright.
I am just so mad. I could just hit my boy.
I could just seriously...
I could just murder my boy right now.
When I look at the stars and I piece together where they are exactly in the universe...
But, like, seriously, consciousness is a weird thing.
I understand, Frankie, and I like to make fun of a lot of stuff.
Whoa! That's alright, I messed up
Me
the
said it!
Yes. One more.
Oh, baiting!
I'm a new age rapper! I'm gonna get killed by a Skeeto, dude.
No, it's the freaking Fricks. Oh yeah, you're right, that too. Oh no!
This is a very popular song.
We get from something to something. I don't know how to do the lyrics. Bad and bougie. No, get them double the Uzi. And I just heard you rap too. It's bad and bougie. Yeah. Okay, so then here's the yeah part. Huh? Switching my flows like my clothes. Now she want F with my crew.
God.
We've done it, Frankie.
That honestly made me mad.
Yeah, that level
that made me
really
mad.
Stupid.
I'm just so mad right now.
Well, we're gonna go to bed mad. That took 24 minutes. That level.
That was harder than Sigma, dude.
Look, the record time is 10 minutes for that. Who?
That was harder than Sigma with the kazoo. That was so fucking hard.
All right, girlfriend.